What's up everyone, luccaonthego here, and today we're going to talk about what's probably killing your productivity, and this is time management. So one of the things brought by this pandemic was home office, and with that, the limits between personal time and work time became very blurry. I can't even tell how many times I found myself answering to emails way after the time I was supposed to be working, for example. And I think that becomes even more clear when you're a part-time content creator, because then you have to juggle between creating content, working on a full-time job, and also having a life, having some time to yourself. So then I decided to make this video to share a little bit of the actions that I take every single day that helps me get things done, but also helps me have some time to myself to take care of my physical and mental health, also to have some time with my dog. It's important to say these are the actions that work for me. I'm not trying to advise anyone that they should do exactly what I do. These are the things that work for me based on my routine, based on my life, and based on the things that I have to do. So without further ado, let's jump right into tip number 1, which is prioritize the most important things of your day. So we know everyone's busy, everyone has to take care of the house, everyone has to take care of the children or the dog, everyone has to work. So it's important to put the most complex tasks and the more important ones higher on your to-do list if you have one, because at the beginning of your day it's usually when you have the most energy, and therefore you'll be able to perform these tasks in a better way and more efficiently. And this isn't only about performing better, but it's also about motivation. So later on the day when you feel tired and unmotivated, you'll look at your to-do list and you see that the hardest things that you had to do on that day are already done. And that will give you an extra motivation to keep doing the things that you still have to do, which are less complex and much easier and probably much faster to do. Because if you get later on the day when you feel tired and unmotivated and you still have to do like a super complex, super hard, super time consuming task, you will feel so unmotivated and you're not going to do it. Tip number 2 is don't start your day with the hardest task that you have to do. And I know this might sound a little contradictory related to the first tip, but just bear with me. So our bodies and our minds, they work like a coal machine. You need to heat it up before you can start gaining traction. It's like when you exercise that you have to stretch, warm up, and then you begin your workout. And for work is the same thing. So it takes us some time to get traction into the things that we have to do, to focus on the tasks that we have to do. If you start with something extremely hard and extremely time consuming, chances are that you're going to take much longer to gain that traction and focus on the thing that you have to do, and that will take even longer to perform the task that you actually have to do. So if you do that, you're going to have a hard time focusing on the task, and after a while it's going to feel like you didn't accomplish anything in that day, and then you start feeling unmotivated because your mind is not into the work mindset yet. So what I usually do is I usually start my day with 1 or 2 very simple, very easy tasks to kind of get my mind going, and then I feel like I'm just cutting tasks out of my to-do list, and then that gives me that extra motivation boost to take on the harder and more complex tasks. And then when I'm done with these 1 or 2 very simple tasks, I feel like I'm in my energy peak and I'm ready to take on the more complex and difficult tasks in the day. So a quick summary until now. Tip number 1, put the hardest tasks on the top part of your list, but don't start with them. Actually start with 1 or 2 simpler tasks just to get your mind working, and then you have the energy and the focus to start working on the complex things that you have to do. Tip number 3 is have specific time slots during the day to look at your social media. And I know social media is fun, and for content creators like me, it's actually a huge part of our jobs. But if you don't set limits to yourself, you're gonna start realizing that it can be a huge productivity killer. I usually limit myself from 1 to 2 hours where I go to social media, scroll through the posts, engage with my audience, and make my own posts. And I'm not saying you should set 1 to 2 hours. I mean, it varies from each person depending on how much you have to do on that day, but this is what works for me. So you kind of have to figure out what works for you and work with these limits. Just make sure that whatever it is, the limit that you set to yourself, it doesn't get into the way of you accomplishing other things that you have to do, because then this is where social media starts to be a productivity killer instead of a tool and a working tool for us content creators. Tip number 4 is stop trying to multitask. I am a terrible multitasker, and I only found that out through experience. So I realized that whenever I'm trying to do different things at the same time, I do everything much slower and much poorly. So again, this is not for everybody. I know that I'm terrible at multitasking, but maybe you're good, and that's fine. I'm just saying that for me, it's a huge productivity killer. Multitasking for me makes me extremely overwhelmed, and I feel it, and I can sense a huge drop in quality of the things that I'm doing. So if I'm able to focus 100% at one thing, it's much better for me, because I'm confident that I will be able to deliver much quicker and much better results. And finally, tip number 5 is make time for yourself. I think that this is a habit, and habits are something that you build over time. So it's important to build a habit of setting some time, some daily time to yourself to do the things that you have to do, and to kind of prepare yourself mentally and physically for the next day. And at this personal time that you have, you could do whatever you want. You can watch a movie, watch a show, be with your family, be with your dog. You can read a book. You can learn something on YouTube, like this video. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as you feel relaxed and you're able to prepare your body and your mind to the following day. Well, those were my tips to boost productivity. A little bit of the things that I do every day so I can stay motivated and productive throughout the week, or at least the day. If you find this video useful, share with your friends that you feel are lacking a little bit of productivity. Give a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram if you want more photography and travel tips, and I'll see you on the next one.